We're live. It is Tuesday afternoon. It's about 1:20. And today is the 5th, 2023, December 5th, 2023. It is Christmas month. I hope it's going well. I hope your preparation for the holiday is going well, if it is a holiday for you. Not just Christmas, all of the holidays. I think the 8th begins Hanukkah. So it's a festive time for everyone. I think it's the 8th. I could be mistaken about that. And, really, when we say happy holidays, it's because it's never safe to presume that there's just one holiday that some people are celebrating, that there might be more than one sacred occasion. And so it's all inclusive. Doesn't take away from the Merry Christmas. It doesn't take away from a Happy Hanukkah. It is including all under that banner of Happy Holiday. I don't know why I felt the urge to put that out there. I do my best not to be political. I'm sure it shines through, peeks through maybe a little bit. At least here on YouTube, I try not to let it shine through too much. On Instagram, a little more often. Instagram, even though I have, um, I don't know how many followers. I think the people who come to watch me on Instagram or listen to me are friends, people I know, or people I've met, or people I've known through social media for a long time. So they know what to expect. They know if I get political, not to take it personally, which is hard to do these days. We take all of this personally. And maybe it is personal. However, now's the time, not just because it's holiday season, maybe because it's political season, maybe because we're getting close to an election year, maybe because we know how divisive the election's going to be, especially considering the past two, how bad they got and how bad they might get. Now is the time to, above all else, practice kindness. See through that top layer. My cat is here to visit. I would show you. I'd put the camera down, but then you would see what an absolute mess my office actually is. It's actually a combination office slash ultra running storage room with shoes and shoes. lots of running shoes. For someone who prides himself on being a somewhat minimalist as far as ultra running, I've always run in either Vibrams or very minimalistic shoes. I have a bunch of them. Too many shoes. More shoes than I actually need. More shoes than I've actually worn on lots of occasion. One of the yamas in the yoga tradition, yoga psychology, the yamas are the ethical restraints that we practice, is non-hoarding. And if you looked around this room and the room next door and the room next door over there, you would think this guy is not a very good yogi. He is hoarding books, he's hoarding running shoes, headlamps, hydration vest, sorry, flashlights, stuff like that. I should be ashamed of myself. So, anyway, enough from the cat. We'll see. Cats always have something to say, it seems, when they want to have something to say. So when I talk about politics, it's not on the surface. It's not who you vote for, who you're going to vote for. When I talk about politics now, I talk about the need for kindness. That should be fueling your not just your vote, but your political discourse. I don't care if you disagree with me. There's some very important issues that we're faced with. There's issues of uh, climate change. There's issues of immigration, not in the way that you think, not in the way that most people think right now. I'm talking immigration in the fact that there's going to be a great many people in need because of the climate change with no place to go. And what are we going to do? I know a lot of friends like to consider this a Christian nation. Politically, it is not supposed to be any type of religious affiliation whatsoever. However, if you do want to consider it a Christian nation because you're a Christian, then you need to practice Christianity, meaning you have to practice the teachings of Jesus, which are based in kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. How do you reconcile that with your politics? That's the present question. That's what we should be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about who you're voting for, or even why you're voting for. We should be talking politically. How do your values, your deep values as a human being, align with your politics? Do they align with it? And if they don't, how come? Why not? Should they be separate? Because they're not. You can't hold the tenets of Christianity. You can't hold the teachings of the Buddha. You can't hold the concepts presented by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. You can't hold them as holy and ignore exactly what they're telling you to do. We simply can't. None of us can. And we're all guilty of it at one time or another. Our friend Destiny Forever Walks, PhD, is here. She says happy Tuesday and blessings, Eric. Hello, Destiny, and blessings to you too, my friend. I'm happy to see you here. I'm sort of touching upon politics without touching upon politics, or with trying not to touch upon politics. I don't want to ruffle feathers. Not because I'm afraid of ruffling feathers. I've spent my entire life sort of pushing the envelope in one way or the other, never fitting in, never bothering to fit in, and being happy on the edge of situations and sort of pushing that envelope. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is, above all and always, try to be a healing force. So I could say that, again, people will hear me talk and they'll think he's a liberal, he's a whatever. Honestly, I reject every label anyone tries to give me. I think it was Kant. Chris Trauma, who's has a doctorate in philosophy. When I hear him talk of philosophers, I'm always envious of the precise manner in which he can pronounce their names. Every time I pronounce the philosopher's name, every time I say something in Sanskrit, it is different every single time that I say it. Also, I get my philosophers mixed up. So I always return to Kierkegaard as my, because I know I'm going to say it right. And he probably said something similar. However, I can Google it up. It might have been Pascal. Once you label me, you negate me. So once you call me a liberal, you negate anything I have to say because you don't like liberals. You don't listen to liberals. Me, personally, I am not a liberal. I am not a conservative. I am not any of those things. I am the spaciousness which you can apply any single label that you want. They all go right through me. However, if you look at my voting record over a lifetime of voting, you would say, yeah, he supports liberal policies. I have no problem with that. And I have no problem with you supporting, whoever you might be, supporting conservative policies. And some great things have happened in this country when those two modes of thinking have come together. That's what we need to do. Find the common ground. We might butt heads on our way to finding that common ground, but you know what? That doesn't mean I don't respect you or care about you or have compassion for you or welcome your ideas. That means we're butting heads. We're debating. We're getting to the nitty-gritty of the issue. Destiny says that I am here listening. Politics is a topic I say very little about. Me too. I mentioned that at the beginning. more so on Instagram, um, hardly at all, occasionally on Facebook. But, you know, what I'm trying to talk here, and I don't know how it happened to come on to politics, but I figured, you know, I found my way to this conversation. I'll keep talking until I find my way out of this conversation. Um, but what I want to present is a politics of healing, a politics of love, something that we can all come to terms with and agree with. I don't hate conservatives. I don't hate liberals. I don't hate, period. Not even the stuff that you think we should hate, because hate just lends energy to it. All of it. That was the wisdom of Dr. Martin Luther King. That was the wisdom of Gandhi. That's the wisdom of Quakers. That was the wisdom of Mother Teresa when she was asked if she would lead a protest, help lead a protest, and I believe it was with I don't think it was the Vietnam War, I think it was after, and she said no. She would not lead any kind of protest, even being against something that she was vehemently against, because she said it would only lend energy to that. But if we were to have a pro-peace march, if we were to have a something that was in a positive vein, pro whatever, she would be the first in line, because that's where she wanted her energy to go. So, you know what? If my voting record is liberal, it's to reflect the things that I care most about. I want to protect the environment. I want to feed anyone who needs to be fed. Anyone who needs to be fed. I don't care if they're in this country, if they're in another country, if they're young, if they're old, if they're white, if they're black, if they're rich, if they're poor. It doesn't matter to me. If you're hungry, you should be fed. If you need a place to live, you should have homes. Here's the thing, pull yourself up by your bootstrap. I agree. Now let's give you a boot. Let's give you a boot and a bootstrap so you can pull yourself up by. Maybe that bootstrap is a starter home. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's clothing and a place to take a shower. Maybe it's a place to keep your family safe. Maybe it's food on the table. I don't care what it is. If you need help, you should get help. All of us. Every single person. Destiny says that I can understand that. I have a heart and compassionate for humanity too. That, no doubt whatsoever. That shines through in your talks, in your dancing, in the conversations that I have with you. It shines through. You know what? People like you, Destiny, you don't need to talk politics, because you exude your philosophy. Sometimes I don't like saying philosophy because it seems abstract. If you have Greek philosophers, right? You have philosophers in all kinds of different camps. Is it a practice though? Yoga philosophy means very little to me. Yoga psychology means everything, because yoga psychology is what I can practice. Yoga philosophy, the cosmology of the universe, fascinating stuff. I absolutely love to read about it, but it's not something practical. Yoga psychology that changes every fiber in my being to be one of compassionate and care and love, that I can get behind. That I've worked with the large portion of my life. Not to be a better person. I already am a better person. I'm as good as it gets. I don't mean that in any sense of vanity, because guess what? You are as good as it gets. And I don't care who you are. You could be the biggest conservative in the deepest red state, and you are as good as it gets. And that's a wonderful thing. What yoga psychology, What true Christianity, what Buddhism does, it reveals how wonderful you are. Philosophy talks about how wonderful. I'm not anti-philosophy either, by the way. Um, Philosophy talks about how wonderful you are as a concept, in a concept. Yoga psychology points, Buddhist psychology points. One of the first and deepest insights of Buddhist psychology is start and celebrate with your inherent nobility. How wonderful and beautiful you are. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. He didn't say, if you work hard enough on yourself, you'll find the kingdom of heaven. All we got to do is look. And guess what? If you look and you find the kingdom of heaven within you, it's got to be there in someone else. It's got to be in that person that you dislike the most because of the politics. That kingdom of heaven has to be within Donald Trump. It has to be within Joe Biden. It can't be anywhere else. Let's see. Destiny says that explained that very well. Eric, a U.S. psychology major. I am not at all. When I went to my brief stint in college, my brief stint in community college, I majored in cutting class and going to a bar and meeting my girlfriend in a class. And that was it. I did well when I bothered. I took a psychology class and I did very well in it. I like psychology. I just finished not too long ago a yogic psychology certification class. And I've studied, I guess you could say, self-exploration. Even psychology can be a concept. And essentially, sooner or later, we put away concepts and we just live. We realize that we're expressing everything at once, here and now, without any need to add an extra concept, an extra layer. They come and go. That's the importance of realizing our inherent emptiness. And that could be a scary thing. Who wants to be empty? Who wants to be emptiness itself? And yet, in the Buddhist Heart Sutra, they say that emptiness is form, form is emptiness, and I'm emphasizing the is, because it's not that emptiness is transformed into form, where that form regresses back to emptiness. It already is right now. Form already is emptiness. Emptiness already is form. One thing lending its appearance as something other, but retaining the purity of its essence. So that doesn't leave anything out. We're form. We're also emptiness. Without emptiness, it would be one cell. It would be one molecule. It would be one atom. We are the emptiness, the spaciousness, the pure awareness for all that to simply be. Destiny says, so what does a yogi psychology study require? The certification class was really just going over concepts of yoga psychology, and yet trying to see the wisdom of how it applies to our life. Not how it applies, but how it is already actually happening. So when we think a concept, most especially a self-help concept, we read a self-help concept in a book and we say, I'm going to try that. I'm going to see if I can do that. I'm going to see if I do this for 21 days, I will be a better person. Yoga psychology says you are a better person already, right now. All you have to do is realize it. You do that by calming the mind, by meditating, by breath work, by doing the asanas, by doing the postures. The whole essence of real yoga is calming the mind so we see who and what we already are. we can cut to the chase. I've mentioned Douglas Harding, who was a British mystic. He was actually an architect, but um, he was a member of a very, very strict, he was British, a very strict Christian sect. The only book you could have in your house was the Bible. You went to a certain school and you only learned biblical theories. Again, extremely strict. But he was young, he was curious. Eventually, he left, and he left home. Very painful because he loved his family, but he knew he didn't belong there. He read, he traveled. One day, he was in the service, World War II, I believe. He died in the early 2010s, the age of 96. One day, when he was in the mountains in India, in the Himalayas, he looked down, noticed his body, and he looked up, and he noticed that he could not find his head. I've talked about this quite a bit. He realized that he was headless, which sounds completely ridiculous until you realize you've never actually seen your head or your face, ever. You've seen reflections of it. You've seen photos of it. You might have seen a drawing of it. You've heard descriptions of it. You might have seen an edge of your lip, an edge of your nose, rim of your glasses. For some of us, the tip of a mustache. But where does that appear from? All of that appears from absolute pure nothingness. If you point, one of the experiments that Douglas Harding came up with, and Douglas Harding was a true yogi at heart, without even knowing much about yoga at the time. He was willing to experiment. He was willing to engage in self-inquiry. So he pointed at objects and noticed that every object had a shape, size, a color, a texture, a feel, a weight, a heft, whatever. And he kept pointing at objects. And he pointed at his feet, noticing that they were objects. His legs, two objects. Two objects coming together in his torso, which was another object. An object that was all connected, but still an object. And then he pointed at his face, and he looked in that direction. Not at the finger, but in the direction that the finger was pointing at. And he noticed there was no object that he could see. Objectless. And yet, in that space, there was complete awareness. Right now, if I point and I look in this direction, the direction that my fingers are pointing in, all I find is awareness. Awareness of this room. If I go outside, awareness of my neighborhood. If I look up, awareness of the sky. It's all contained, not even contained. Because in this emptiness, nothing can be contained. It's all present. The universe is present right here. So that is the essence of yoga psychology, that realization. For me, when I discovered Douglas Harding, when I did those experiments, when I realized that inherent sense of emptiness, and yet that emptiness served as the loving capacity for the entire world to exist, that when I looked at other people, it was this emptiness holding them in pure awareness. We could replace the word awareness with pure love. That here, this space, served its capacity for your face to be, and that your inherent emptiness served in capacity and loving capacity for my face to be. That pretty much ended any seeking, any searching for anything deeper for me, because there was the realization that I'm at once emptiness, and that emptiness is the allowance of everything in the world, everything in the universe to be. No separation whatsoever. Seamless. So you just live from there. You live from that capacity, which means that everything that we experience, every thought, every emotion, None of it is foreign. It might be Pascal again. I'm just going to keep referring to Pascal, who said, nothing human is foreign to me. Meaning anger and greed, there's no sense denying it and pushing it away. I'm never an angry person. I'm never a greedy person. I'm never a jealous person. If it's an emotion that is present in humanity, it's present within me. And yet at the same time, it's not who I am. It is just an appearance within the spaciousness of that which I am. Let's see. Destiny says that I'm an education addict, so when I hear people talking about education and degrees, the addict within seems to crave for that study. There's lots of great courses. If I remember, I will try to post a link in yogic psychology, and I think you would absolutely love it, Destiny. Not very expensive, easy to work through, and yoga philosophy as well is definitely worth looking into. Destiny says, wow, that's deep. Awareness is present everywhere. I wouldn't even say awareness is present everywhere. Awareness is everywhere itself. Everything. Everything is, you won't find any one thing that you can touch, hold, taste that isn't awareness. Because where else can it take place? If you're aware of it, where else can it possibly be? I guess we just have to be conscious of all that is around us. We don't even need to be conscious of any of that. We already are. It's already happening. That's the wonderful thing about it. There's absolutely nothing that we have to do in order to be. There's nothing we have to do in order to be aware. Our friend Lewis is here. It is what it is. Good morning, YouTube family. Hope all is well. Salute Sister Destiny. Thank you, Lewis. I'm doing well. I hope you are as well. Odom's Homestead is here, saying, hey, if you guys are looking for a great YouTube channel, Odom's Homestead, he reflects this deep, deep love for the land. It's really a beautiful thing to watch. So, that was, you're welcome, Odom. Lewis says, everything is gray over here, Destiny. Gravy, sorry. I was thinking gray, as in maybe it was rainy. But then I realized you're in California. Lewis, have you thought any more about when you said you might consider coming out of retirement early? I've talked a little bit today about, in my burpees video, about some back pain I've experienced. I hurt my back in 1990. And I don't, I'm trying to think, most of the people that I talked to probably weren't even born in 1990. I hurt my back deadlifting in 1990. And I couldn't deadlift, I couldn't squat, I couldn't overhead press, I couldn't do standing curls for over a year. I still worked out. I did everything seated. My back got better. Eventually I was able to squat and deadlift heavy again. I was able to do Olympic lifting, heavy kettlebell lifting. I was able to do ultra running. But every once in a while, something shifts and I'm in pain for some time. And the past month, it has been ever present, and I'm trying to work through it. Lewis says that it's not going to happen. I still got a lot of parties to attend, so I suspect it'll be the end of football season. Maybe not that long. Football season ends in February, right? So January, after the holidays. So he's talking about the 17th being his birthday, which is reason to celebrate for sure. Odom's Homestead said that he's looking to retire, but then Bill say, no way. I am semi-retired, but I'm lucky. I'm fortunate that I have a home that's paid for, but I live in an extremely high tax area, very high, that hits you at every angle. Homeowners, property, city, county, state. And the savings that I have are rapidly dwindling. My YouTube fortune has not taken shape yet. I think I have 650 some more subscribers to get to before I can even begin to think of it as a YouTube enterprise. It is not easy sometimes simply surviving for the sake of being happy, of not having to be in that daily grind every single day. Wears you out. If I had a wish for everyone, it would be to have a vocation over just having a job. Find your dharma. Dharma meaning your purpose. When I look at Onum's Homestead, that's what I mean by dharma. He loves his land and the work that he's doing there. That's his passion. That's his, dharma isn't just it's not your destiny. It's not it's not just your vocation. It's like what you were meant to do because you have no choice in the matter. It's how I feel about writing. It's how I feel about coming here and talking, that there's little choice. It's just what I was meant to do. I wake up every morning at 3 o'clock to prepare myself to sit and write for about an hour. And when I wake up at 3, there's never any, man, I'd love to sleep in, or I can't believe it's 3 o'clock again. I get to get up, do the stuff I love. I get to sit and have my 1 cup of coffee for the day and write about whatever comes to mind for an hour. After that, I get to go out for a walk. I get to do burpees. I get to do yoga. I get to talk to my friends. Lewis says that it ends when my Raiders are done, which will probably be before the season. But I'm most likely going to start in January. We'll hang in there with the Raiders until the very last game, until the very last play. Our friend Paul from Oregon is here. Hello, Eric, Lewis, Destiny, and Odom. It is very good to see Paul from Oregon. Odom says that, yes, growing is my passion, and it's obvious. And I wish you, if I was granted a wish right now, it'd be for several million subscribers to your channel, because that passion shows through, and you deserve all the happiness and success that can come your way from doing what you love to do. That's one of the reasons why I love watching Destiny's channel as well. The absolute love that she has for doing what she does is infectious. And it goes out and it touches everyone who views her channel. That's what a YouTube channel should be, in my opinion. I'll tell you what a YouTube channel probably shouldn't be, is a half-naked bald guy doing burpees in his basement. I'm wondering how come I've never gotten the comment, man, put some clothes on. Cover your head. You're blinding everyone. And quit talking that nonsense afterwards. I've been pretty fortunate. Speaking of nonsense, my cat is in here giving me a hard time. Odom says, glad that I'm able to wake up. but sick of waking up to an alarm clock. I can understand that for sure. Um, and Odom Homestead says, "Thank you. That means more than you know." I appreciate it. I'm happy to actually say so. Um, and honestly, I try to call it exactly as I see it, and that's more than what I see. That's what I feel whenever I get an opportunity to visit you. Paul from Oregon says, proof of the welcoming burpee community. But you know what? Paul from Oregon has to say that because he is partially responsible for me having this channel. Well, for me doing burpee videos and then all that followed afterwards. So if you get a certain, when Paul says that, if you feel a certain sense of guilt, you understand why. Paul is probably shaking his head right now saying, what did I start? Why couldn't I keep quiet? Little did he know, with his encouragement, that I would go on to annoy 348 YouTube subscribers. Odom Homestead says, I got you running, but have to leave the office for a few minutes. Certainly. I'm actually going to talk for about 4 to 5 more minutes. Maybe round it to an even 40 minutes. Paul says, no guilt, no guilt at all. You notice that once Nick got me started doing videos, he left. He couldn't take it. He's like, that's too much. I thought he was just going to put up one video of him doing burpees, and now it's been 708 days later, and he is still doing the same thing over and over again. Doesn't he ever take a single day off? Have you seen Paul's intro? It says, Lewis. I haven't seen anything new from Paul. I'm waiting. I know he is healing. He is on the mend, and not a day goes by that I don't wish a complete, safe, and healthy return for Paul back on the burpee stage. Paul says willing subscribers. Well, not 100% all of them. Mocha was obligated. Mocha is 100% obligated to subscribe. Paul is laughing, says, I miss Nick. I miss Nick as well, too. He was always someone who had entertaining videos and a lot of hard work. Lewis says that he's getting very excited about the burpees again, which is a good thing. Man, if we can offer any inspiration to get you on the burpee mat sooner, all the better. I think that Destiny has inspired Mocha to possibly explore some treadmill dancing. I know that she was very interested when we talked about it. She is doing a treadmill workout that is, I guess it's big on TikTok right now. I wouldn't know. The 30-12, now I don't remember the rest of it, where you walk the treadmill at a 12% incline for 30-12. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again until I get it. You walk the incline, 12%, for 30 minutes at 3 miles an hour. So there we go. 30-12-3. And it is supposed to be very effective for actually toning as well as losing weight. Not that Mocha needs to lose weight, but she always feels that she could lose a little bit more. Destiny says, tell Mocha to go for it. Treadmill dancing has many healthy benefits. And you know what? Not the least of which is I think it makes you smile. It makes you happy to do it. And that has no small amount of benefit to the body, emotions. Not that they're separate. If you find yourself in a constant state of emotional turmoil or low point of emotions, your body's going to reflect that. If your body is in pain, you're going to find that it's going to be reflected through your emotions. So when you do something that brings joy, your entire essence, your entire personhood is affected. And then, when that's in effect, everyone you come to contact with is affected by that. And meditation circles, they call it the Maharishi effect. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, founder of Transcendental Meditation, that if a small percentage of any given population were to meditate, then it would have a profound effect on the entire population. So if 1,000 people in a city meditated, the entire city would benefit somewhat of the effects. Violence would go down, happiness would improve, health would improve, well-being would improve. So, my own thought, if you put a positive video on YouTube and even a couple people see it and it makes a difference, you've done something pretty amazing. And it affects people. Has that ripple effect. It has the Maharishi effect. So, my cat is telling me that it's time to call it a day. So, we'll close it up here before we hit the 45-minute mark. Usually I've been pretty good keeping it for 30, but when I have good friends, such as ones that are here, you just got to keep talking. And when Paul from Oregon gets an opportunity to get here, my only regret is that Mocha is not here to interact with Paul from Oregon, because all kinds of craziness, if not bordering slightly on the ridiculousness, ensures. And when I say ridiculousness, I mean that in the highest crazy wisdom way. That sometimes, in order to get to that truly creative state of mind, state of being, you got to be as silly as possible. You got to let your mind go of all those previous concepts and think outside of the box. The only way to think outside of the box is to be ridiculous. I have lived my entire life in a ridiculous fashion. If Mocha was here, she would be shaking your head and saying, you really shouldn't admit that on YouTube. It's going to come back and haunt you. But everyone knows it. Again, a half-naked, upper middle-aged guy throwing himself on his basement floor and doing his best to bounce back up is about the most ridiculous thing to do in the world. And yet, I love every single repetition. Without doubt. Destiny says that, welcome back, Odom's Homestead, by the way. And that Destiny says, benefits of treadmill dancing, improve cardiovascular fitness. Dancing on the treadmill can be fun, a creative way to combine exercise and dancing. I see that. Easily so. And you know what? If it gets you on the treadmill and it gets you moving, all the better. And for Mocha, she'd put on her favorite soundtrack, and she would just have an absolute blast. Paul says that to tell her that I said hi. I certainly will. She is she's pursuing her bachelor's degree in American Sign Language, finishing off her GI Bill. She had some left on it, and she wanted to use it, and she's been retired from the military for, I guess about 10 years now. Maybe not 10 years, 8 years maybe. Um, and she wanted to do something that was going to help people. And she wanted to do something that would help particular people who just needed that. She was a linguist, and she thought there's lots of people who can't communicate with the vast majority of people because they don't know how. I don't know American Sign Language. I would be at a loss trying to communicate, outside of texting, outside of a notepad, of just having that interactive conversation. And Milka felt that, and she wanted to do something about it, which for me is highly admirable. And I'm not just saying that because she's my ex-wife. I'm saying it because she's my ex-wife and my present companion. She's really not an ex anything. She never has been, and she never will be. And we both, even when we were separating, we both knew that we were never going to be exes, that this was just an end of a legal contract, but the beginning of something else, and it has been expanding ever since. It's been expanding since I met her 22 years ago. So, all right, guys, with that, man, I slipped over the 45-minute mark. I blame it on Paul from Oregon, who always gets me talking more. But fortunately, you guys got me off topic of the slight political rant that I was on earlier in the video. So thank you. I appreciate that. With that, we're going to call it a day. Paul, I hope you're healing well. And I hope it's soon that you're going to be hitting the burpees again, even if it's just 4 counts. And Lewis, I'm looking forward to you coming out of retirement. I know it's going to be another month or so, but it's approaching, and I'm looking forward to it. Destiny, as always, you add a whole lot to any conversation that I have here. And Odom's Homestead, again, I'm going to reiterate that wish. My wish is that you get the subscribers that you deserve, and you deserve an infinite amount. So, with that, Destiny says, thanks again, Eric. Thanks for the discussion. Didn't mean to throw you off politics. It's actually a good thing. And again, it wasn't politics in the traditional us versus them or them versus us. It was the politics of coming together. So, and I agree with Destiny here. Everyone have a great day. I will see you guys later. Take care.